Have you ever noticed that the loudest people, the most convinced, the most unwavering in their opinions, tend to be exactly those who know the least about the subject? It's as if ignorance comes with an iron shield, an armor of certainty that protects them from any doubt. Meanwhile, the true experts hesitate, ponder, question themselves. And here's the truth nobody wants to hear. In this world, confidence beats competence almost every time. Think about that for a moment. We're living in an era where anyone can proclaim themselves an expert, where strong opinion trumps deep knowledge, where shouting louder matters more than being right. And the most disturbing part? It works. It works in business, it works in politics, it works in relationships. The person who knows nothing but acts like they know everything often goes further than the one who actually masters the subject but carries the paralyzing weight of self-criticism. Why? Because we're programmed to follow certainty, not wisdom. There's a name for this in psychology. Researchers David Dunning and Dunning-Kruger discovered something fascinating. The less you know about a subject, the more confident you tend to be. It's the famous Dunning-Kruger effect, where incompetence disguises itself as mastery. But it's not just a funny cognitive bias. It's a force that shapes careers, relationships, even entire nations. The person who just read an article on the internet feels as qualified as someone who dedicated decades to study, and they act based on that. The problem is that real knowledge comes accompanied by a poisoned gift, the awareness of your own ignorance. Socrates, over 2,000 years ago, had already captured this truth when he said that the only thing he knew was that he knew nothing. The more you learn, the more you realize the vast ocean of things you don't know. It's like climbing a mountain and upon reaching the top, discovering that there are even higher peaks on the horizon, covered in fog. True knowledge doesn't just expand what you know, it exponentially expands what you realize you don't know. And that's where the trap lies. While the incompetent person looks at the world and sees simplicity, certainty, obvious answers, the competent one sees nuances, complexities, uncertainties. The first acts without fear because they don't see the dangers. The second hesitates because they see far beyond the superficial. Who do you think the world rewards more? Those who act fast or those who ponder carefully? The answer is painful. Almost always, it's the first. But there's something even deeper happening here, something that goes beyond simple ignorance. There's an invisible social mechanism that favors confidence over competence. We, as human beings, are profoundly social creatures. We evolved in groups where a leader's confidence was often more important than their correctness. A hesitant leader could make the group waver. A confident leader, even if wrong, at least kept everyone united and moving forward. Our brains still carry this ancestral software. Think about the last meetings you attended, the last discussions you witnessed. Who dominated the conversation? Probably not the most qualified person, but the one who spoke with the most conviction. The firm voice, the direct gaze, the absence of doubt. These things trigger something primitive in us. Confidence is contagious. It makes other people trust too, even when there's no rational basis for it. It's as if someone's certainty fills the void of our own uncertainties. And here's the part that will make you question everything. Maybe they're not completely wrong. Maybe there's a hidden wisdom in confident ignorance, a brutal efficiency that the modern world rewards. Because while the wise person is stuck in analysis, weighing all variables, considering all possibilities, the fool has already acted. And action, even imperfect, often surpasses perfect inaction. The world doesn't wait for the cautious. It belongs to the bold, the reckless, those who jump before they look. Have you felt this? That feeling of being paralyzed by excess knowledge, by the acute awareness of everything that can go wrong. While you were studying more, preparing better, perfecting your approach, someone with half your competence but twice your confidence simply made it happen. And worse, it worked for that person. They got the job, closed the deal, captured attention, built the audience. Not because they were better, but because they weren't afraid. This isn't fair, you think. And you're right, it's not. But does the universe care about fairness, or is there a deeper logic operating here, one that we, trapped in our rationality, have difficulty seeing? Perhaps the real question isn't, why are stupid people so confident, but rather, why are intelligent people so hesitant? What have we, with all our knowledge, lost along the way? If this idea has already resonated with you, imagine what comes next. Subscribe to not miss this journey. Let's go deeper. There's a concept in philosophy called paralysis by analysis, when overthinking becomes an obstacle instead of a tool. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard wrote about this brilliantly. He said that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, that overwhelming sensation that arises when you realize all the possibilities before you. And the more intelligent you are, the more possibilities you see, the more paths you consider, the more you become paralyzed by your own ability to anticipate consequences. The stupid person, and let's stop using that word pejoratively and start calling them the simplifier, doesn't have this problem. They operate on a simpler mental model. See fewer variables, consider fewer outcomes, feel less fear. And in that simplicity exists a form of freedom. A freedom that highly intelligent and educated people often lose in the labyrinth of their own mind. But here's the secret that changes everything. You don't need to choose between competence and confidence. You don't need to become ignorant to become confident. You need to learn something that very few master, the art of acting despite uncertainty. That's what separates the great from the good. The great know they'll never have all the answers, that there will always be risk, that perfection is a mirage, and still they act. Think of any great entrepreneur, any revolutionary artist, any scientist who changed the paradigm. They didn't wait to be certain. They acted in uncertainty but with conviction. They combined deep knowledge with the courage of the ignorant. It's a rare, powerful, almost alchemical synthesis. Knowing enough to be dangerous, but not so much as to be paralyzed. And there's a neurological reason for this. Our brain has two thinking systems. The fast, intuitive, automatic system, the one simplifiers, predominantly use, and the slow, analytical, deliberate system, the one educated people tend to favor. The problem is that many of us become slaves to the slow system. We question everything, analyze everything, doubt everything. And in that process, we lose the ability to trust our intuition, our capacity to make quick decisions based on patterns our brain has already subconsciously recognized. True mastery isn't in using only one system or the other. It's in knowing when to trust the fast one and when to resort to the slow one, when to act on instinct and when to pause for reflection. The confident ignorant master the fast system by default. The insecure intelligent get stuck in the slow system. The rare individuals who transcend this dichotomy are those who can dance between the two. But there's an even deeper secret that few know, a truth that will turn your world upside down. The reason the confidence of the incompetent works isn't just because it deceives others, it's because it deceives reality. Yes, you heard that right. There's a well-documented phenomenon in psychology called the self-fulfilling prophecy. When you act with absolute confidence, you change not only how others see you, but how you behave. You take risks that the hesitant person would never take. You persist when the prudent would give up. You radiate an energy that attracts opportunities, people, resources. And here's the kicker. The universe doesn't necessarily reward the correct. It rewards the persistent. The person who tries 1,000 times with imperfect methodology often surpasses the one who tries once with perfect methodology. It's a brutal mathematics of reality that our formal education never taught us. They taught us we need to know before doing. But real life works in reverse. You do to know. This doesn't mean knowledge is useless. Far from it. It means that knowledge without action is wasted potential. It's like having a state-of-the-art sports car and never taking it out of the garage because you're too busy reading the manual. Meanwhile, Someone with an old but functional car has already traveled continents. True wisdom, then, isn't in knowing more. It's in knowing when to stop learning and start doing. It's in accepting that you'll never be completely ready, that there will always be things you don't know, that error isn't just possible, but inevitable, and acting anyway. The ancient Stoics had a powerful mental exercise called premeditatio malorum, the visualization of bad things that can happen, not to paralyze, but to liberate. Because when you've already considered the worst possible scenario and decided you can handle it, fear loses its power over you. And without fear, you can act with the same confidence as those who never considered the worst, but now with the wisdom of someone who has. Perhaps the real insight is this: stupid people aren't confident despite their ignorance. They're confident because of it. Ignorance is the anesthetic that allows the surgery of action, and while you can't and shouldn't seek ignorance, you can learn to consciously anesthetize your own doubts when it's time to act. It's a form of advanced emotional intelligence, recognizing that doubt and action exist in different temporalities. There's a time to question and a time to execute. And the mark of a truly sophisticated mind is knowing when to switch between these modes, when to silence the internal critic and let the executor take the wheel. Because in the end, life isn't a written test where you can review your answers indefinitely. It's a sequence of unique moments where you need to choose, act, risk. And the more you wait for perfect certainty, the more moments you miss. The more you ponder, the more life passes you by while you were busy thinking about it. So here's the liberating truth. You already know enough. Not for everything, not forever, but for the next step. You'll always know enough for the next step, and that's all you really need. Because life isn't lived in great leaps of perfect preparation. It's lived in small steps of imperfect courage. The confidence of the incompetent works because they take those steps without hesitation. And while you don't need to become incompetent, you can learn from them. You can adopt their audacity while maintaining your depth. You can combine your knowledge with their courage. And when you do that, you won't be either the confident ignorant or the paralyzed wise person. You'll be something rarer and more powerful, the audacious sage. This is the synthesis the world desperately needs now. Not more people shouting empty opinions, nor more experts hiding in academia's ivory tower, but individuals who know deeply and act courageously, who study but don't paralyze themselves, who question but don't get lost in eternal doubt, who understand complexity but choose clarity in action. You have a choice now. You can continue being hostage to your own intelligence, letting each new piece of knowledge become another weight on your shoulders, another reason to hesitate. Or you can transform your knowledge into fuel for action, using it not as a shield against error, but as a map for courageous navigation through life's inevitable uncertainty. The world belongs to those who act. It always has, and it will continue to. The question isn't whether you have enough knowledge. The question is, do you have enough courage to act with the knowledge you already possess? Because if you're waiting to know everything before doing something, you're condemning yourself to do nothing forever. If this message touched something in you, if you felt that tightness in your chest that comes when an uncomfortable truth knocks on the door, then you need to do something now, like this video, so more people can find this message. Subscribe to this channel because we're going to continue exploring these truths that nobody else has the courage to say. And most importantly, share this with someone you know is stuck in the paralysis of perfectionism, someone who needs to hear that they're already ready to take the next step. Because knowledge without action changes nothing, but action, even imperfect, changes everything.